Thank you, Ivor. Nice. Thank you for coming. So, Core, it's all about the team that I'm working on at Tiqets. First of all, what is Tiqets? So we are a company that makes it easy for you to have fun, to go places and have fun. So we sell tickets from museums and attractions, and basically we bridge many different suppliers with the customers that want to go, are traveling or are discovering their own city and want to see what's available for now or for later, get the tickets quickly, and go and have fun. Where are we coming from? When I joined Tiqets, that was 5 years ago, 27. When I joined Tiqets 5 years ago in 2017, I joined a team of 8 engineers, and that was all there was. Now we have grown into 7 focus teams, so from 8 people to 7 teams. That's a huge change in the way that we work and that we organize ourselves. We have almost more teams than we had developers, so that's quite an explosion. Just to go quickly over the teams we organized depending on which areas of the business we focus in. So the blue team is all about being very good salesmen, so experience pages, context-aware product rating, making it very easy for you to find things. The red team is all about conversion. You already know you want to go there. Okay, now let's make it very easy to buy that. The yellow team do the apps and app clips. Green is all about relations with our venues, with the suppliers, with the partners. For example, let the suppliers manage their own prices, schedule price changes, manage their availability. So they are happy because they can tell us what prices they have, and we are happy because we have up-to-date prices and availability. White, they do the pay-per-click automation and all this kind of stuff to have automated bidding and ads. The purple team, they abstract away all the crazy APIs of all the suppliers so that for the tickets side, it looks like everybody has a brilliant API. It's brilliantly designed. It's brilliantly structured because they abstract all the way. Very quick. I don't expect you to remember all this, but just so you know that it has a lot of arms, this business of ours. It has many different sides. So with so many teams working from so many different angles, you know, how do we stay connected? I think of Tiqets as a star, and at the edge of the star, right, there is all this energy and explosions and new elements being created. There's a lot of innovation going on here. But okay, we want to shine like a star, but how do we do it so that we don't explode like a supernova? How do we not lose track of ourselves? How do we stay aligned? And that's very tricky because we want the teams to be focused on their specific business areas and to innovate in that space, to know all there is to know about their area where they're working on. At the same time, every change that you make has the potential to affect other parts of the system. Actually, most meaningful changes that you're going to make are going to impact other parts of the system. For example, we want to introduce free cancellation. We already have it, but let's say that we want to introduce it. Well, how is that going to impact finance? And how is that going to impact availability? Because now you cancel, can we sell that again? How about the pricing? Do we want to sell some cancellation insurance? There's a lot of arms here. So every team has to know a lot, have to focus on something, but at the same time, they have to be aware of everything. And of course, focusing on something means that everything else is blurry. So how do we do that? How do we continuously explode and move forward and not destroy ourselves? Yeah, same thing. I went ahead of the slides. So we don't lose each other. A star doesn't explode because the gravity pulls in, right? So that's how we don't lose each other, because it's the core at the center that pulls everything in, binds everything together. And that's the core. So what is core? Core is 2 things. It's a part of Tiqets, of the Tiqets machinery, the core of it, and it's also a team. And I think to understand the team, we need to understand the machine. So let's look at, okay, what is the Tiqets core machinery? That's the fundamental part of Tiqets. If you think of Tiqets as a huge machine, well, that's the fundamental part of it. Without this, you don't have Tiqets. Is the foundations. On top, we build everything, like the motors and the cogwheels that power this machine to connect to suppliers, sell the tickets, connect to affiliates, connect to the ads. So with all that you know now, what would you say is some of these fundamental parts of this tickets machinery? Any ideas, Berko?
Buying a set of tickets.
Buying a set of tickets. Yeah, like getting the tickets from the suppliers and putting them in the hands of the, there's more fundamental parts in there. Yeah, we call them the core domains. The first one is the content catalog. So what do we have? You come to our shop, you want to buy tickets, what do we have? Well, this is the content catalog. You want to search on it, find what's near you, find what's available for 2 weeks from now. That's one part. Okay, you already know what you want, but is it available? That availability is another part of it. Okay, it's available, but how much is it going to cost me? That's the pricing. As you can see, it's in a calendar of prices, and some days are gray because they're not available. So pricing and availability go together somehow, even though they are very different things. Very interesting. Okay, yeah, you want it, you found it, now you want to pay. So payments is also a part of it. You paid, now we deliver your tickets. So processing the order with all that it takes, which is not only generating the barcode or getting it from where we have to get it, sending it to you. Also, the financials of the order, all this is part of the order handling. Okay, we got our money, but it's not all for us because we have to pay the ticket that we bought from a supplier. We also have to pay some affiliate, maybe. So all this is invoicing. Invoicing logic is part of it. And finally, AI is the new domain that we have, just because, like in the analogy of the star, we want all the teams to innovate. So how can we make it easy for everyone to innovate? How can we make it easy for all the teams to use AI? So to recap, there's the content catalog, availability, pricing, payments, order handling, with all that it comes with it, invoicing, and AI. Pretty not bad, a bunch of domains. So we, as a team, own those domains, and that means that we set the vision and the strategy. Where should payments go towards, set the roadmap, and define the stages in which we're going to get to those steps, and when we should advance to each stage. Move the domains ahead, aligned always with what we need from the business side, because everything has to be aligned with what the business needs. That's the whole point of doing this, right? To have a business that is profitable. So basically, listen to the company, decide in which direction we have to go, then define the steps, and then walk those steps, or make somebody walk those steps. Okay, so that's one part of it. That's the machinery. Now the team. How big is this team? How many of you, raise your hand if you think that this team should be less than 10 people? Less than 5 people? Less than 4 people? Oh, there's still... You, sir, you were the last guy with your arm raised? Yes. Why? That's not a lot of people, less than 4 people. Why so small? More people, more opinions. That's the good way to eliminate dissentment, right? If you're alone, there's no disagreement. I guess that's why marriages are only 2 people, right? Because that's an upper limit for disagreements. Well, you're up to something because it's just 3 people. 2 software engineers and me as their product manager. So that's a tiny team. That's a very small team. We own 7 domains. The fundamental domains of tickets, that if that goes wrong, everything goes wrong. And it's just 3 guys. So that's not a lot. And that's a good thing. I think that is how it must be. We are purposefully a small team, and I'll tell you why we have to be a small team. Because being small forces us to be focused on providing value. We cannot compensate with manpower. If we are doing something that is not good for anything, well, it's very visible. What the fuck are the core guys doing? They're wasting time on that thing. No, if we are so small, we need to make sure that we only do what really matters. And finding out what really matters, that's the key of it. So what is it to provide value? And that's what I call the 3 pillars of core. Pillar the first, find the MVP. So a colleague, Martin, he said, you guys don't build features. you solve problems that we have in the business. I thought, oh, yeah, that's very interesting. I wish I had come up with that. And it's true. How does it work to find the MVP? It's a little machinery. So that's the core of it. It has to start in the business needs. We cannot build something or refactor something and say, no, but this is connected to the need that we have. No, come on. You did the refactoring because you wanted to, and then you're finding an excuse. And that maybe sounds convincing, but it isn't. And the cool thing is we are so small, and there's a lot of very positive disagreement. If I accidentally push some bullshit, immediately get pushed back from my other two teammates. And that's brilliant. That's how it has to be. The business and the company needs, from there we distill the core improvements. And these arrows there, they are very tricky arrows, and we'll get into those arrows later. But let's move on. Okay, so we listen to the company. We say, okay, we have these needs now. We're preparing for the summer season. You know, what core improvements do we need in availability, for example, so that in the summer things will be better. From there we find the MVP, like what is the minimum thing that we can do that will bring some solution to this. It doesn't have to be the ultimate solution to the problem that we have, but how do we get one step further? And how far ahead do we need to go? So, and that goes to asking, what do we really need and why do we need it? What is the actual problem that we need to solve? What would happen if we don't do anything? I really like asking what would happen if we don't do anything, because that gets people thinking, and that pokes into their fear, and that goes into the truth of what is really important here. How do we measure impact? What metrics can we track so that we know that we are doing a good job? And it's interesting because these parts of the core, the changes that you make there will make new changes easy, some of them, and other future changes will become difficult. But of course, you don't want to get ahead of yourself and build something huge that you're not going to need. So it's always a balance of think ahead, but stay close to the present. Very tricky. Okay, so we get there. Once we know what MVP we want to build, then, okay, what phases do we have in that MVP? How do we start building that in something very small that we can already deploy, we can already start measuring? Yeah, it's really working. No, it has its other consequence that we didn't think of. Very tricky stuff. Stay in sync with the stakeholders. Planning all these phases, prioritizing the changes within this MVP, managing the stakeholders. They sometimes know more things that they are aware that they know. So once they see it now, but now I think that, that happens a lot. So it's a constant communication. And of course align with the other teams. And that is very important for us, and I'll show you why very soon. And finally, we always have a demo. Every month we do a demo. We show to the company what we did, and at that point, if what we are doing does not come from the business needs, that's really visible. So I'm always thinking, how am I going to demo this? When I explain what we did, what is the story? Because if there's no story, that means I'm doing something wrong. All right. Pillar the second, the multiplicative effect. We are a small team, and we said that was a good thing. We cannot have all the knowledge. Imagine if everybody who has to change something related to pricing has to stop and ask the core guys how the pricing work. Well, that's impossible. Nobody's going to do anything. So we must ensure that everybody knows enough of how our domains work. The same thing, we cannot do all the work. Red and lowercase means no, and uppercase and blue means yes, by the way. You already guessed that. We cannot do all the work. We need to involve other domains, other focus teams to work in the core domains. We need to find ways to help them. We cannot be a blocker. We cannot be three guys in an ivory tower thinking and dreaming of how the core is. We need to stay close to the other team, see how can we make it possible for them to work in the core, to do solid work there, and not be blocked by us thinking and deciding. We cannot have a situation where, a green team says, I need this feature, but to do this, I need these changes in the core, so I need to wait for the core guys to find some time. That's not going to work. We need to enable people. That's the tricky of what we do. help them do the work that they need to do. And that's the multiplicative effect of core. And this comes from having weak ownership on those domains. And by that, I mean that we own them. We make sure that they stay in good shape and they evolve in the right direction. We have the vision, the roadmap. But any team can work on those domains. We will guide them and we'll help them. We will always be involved in any changes there to make sure things are aligned. And when we change things in a domain, we will involve the teams so they know what is going on, why we're doing some changes, what impact does it have for them, etc. So we need to bring together the skills and knowledge of the focus teams that know a lot about their little areas and our team that knows a lot about the center, and together we find the way to move forward the core and not break anything. Share skills, increase autonomy of the teams, and have everyone working on those domains take full ownership of the changes that they are making. How do we collaborate? There's 3 ways. Focus team leads means some team needs a change that needs to happen in the core. Well, they do it. Maybe we have a conversation first, depending on the change, of, okay, how are you going to do this? Do you already have an idea on a solution? Maybe they don't. They just have a problem, which is great. Sometimes they already have a solution. Sometimes the conversation starts at the merge request. Like, how about this? How about this? Do I continue down this path, or do I do something else? We'll help them. Another way is we lead. We see a change that needs to happen that will bring some improvements that are needed. But we need collaboration from a team because they know more about payments or communication with the suppliers, etc. And the last one is we do it together. Somebody from one of the teams comes, joins our team, and then as part of our team, we have an expert in the checkout process, and we need to change how the payment processing is done. So that's a perfect combination. Pillar the third, finish things. That's very important. We must finish things. It's not the more you start, the more you finish. It's the more you finish, the more you finish. So it's silly, right? It's true. We have to move in small, solid steps. Deliver small portions that already bring some value. It's not I refactor something. No, refactor something for what? Like, what is the value? Bring some value and measure the impact. And this also includes being exemplary, because I said, oh, I have 2 engineers in the team. Well, they are 2 staff engineers. They are very senior guys. They really know what they're doing. So we need to set an example. The code that comes out of our small team needs to be an example of, if any developer joins the company, whatever, looks at our code, that's how we write code here. So we need high standards of quality. At the same time, we need to move fast. Yeah. So what have we learned on all this? We've been doing this for a few months. What have we learned so far? Efficiency. That's the image for efficiency. Apparently, a guy running with a light. Efficient communication. What is the status of my issue? Many stakeholders asking that. I cannot be answering to every stakeholder what is the status of their issue. Most of the time is, we're not working on it yet because there's no priority. Okay, so I cannot be answering this, so I need to empower the stakeholders to answer this question on their own. Of course, I'm a proactive communicator, and when things happen, I communicate it, but stakeholders need to be able to track themselves. So I'm tracking what is the stakeholders for each issue, so you can see, show me the issues that are for me. Here are the statuses. And what does the status mean? It's described in the wiki. Always create an issue for everything, because people bring ideas to you. And then, okay, sure, I listen, but later they're going to ask you, what about the thing that we talked about? What? I always create an issue, write down what the impact will be, and then, well, now it's in the board. If you want to know how it is, probably it's a proposal that we discussed, but at least it's somewhere, because if you don't track it, they will bring it up again, and you need to listen again. So there's no time to waste. That's the good thing of being a small team. We really need to be laser focused. Remove what we don't need. This is also key. Because when the business needs to go somewhere, right? You need a solution to handle, I don't know, dynamic pricing. Well, you have to build something. And after you've built it, you start using it, then you see which parts of that you really need and which parts you don't. Which parts, once you've built it and used it, now you know really what the problem is. And now you can think, oh, if I was to build it now, which I won't, I would do it like this. So we always need to reevaluate what we have and think, why did we, 5 minutes. Already, wow. Why did we build this? Do we still need it? Do we still have this problem? And is this still the solution? Is this solution worth the effort that it takes to maintain it? If not, maybe we need to get rid of it. And there's some things that we're getting rid of, because that's also the key to grow. You need to simplify what you have so that you can add more complexity, and again, simplify and add more complexity. Avoid fires. So we are a small team, we need to move fast. We cannot afford creating a bug that's an emergency, and then we need to drop everything to fix it. So we always have tests, be ready to roll back, check our assumptions. I assume this, I'm sure it's correct, but if not, I have a feature flag, I can disable it. It's fine, there's no fire, I can fix it later. That's very important for us. Minimize the consequences of it going wrong. If this goes wrong, which can't happen, but it will happen anyway, this is how we will deal with it. And small solid steps really helps on that, because if you assume something, you can you can check it quickly if you were right or not, and get feedback early from stakeholders. Stay focused. If another team can do it, they should probably do it. And if no other team can do it, why not? Is that what we want, or is it just that they need some knowledge or some help? Maybe that's what we need to do, so that we have this multiplicative effect that I was talking about. We need to be very wary when we get dragged into things. There's this, nobody says that, but I wish it was a saying. If it's scary, it's core. It shouldn't be true, but it sounds, but that's how people feel. There's something scary, it's very tricky, let me bring core in it. Well, maybe not. So if we're not careful, everything becomes core. So what we need to do is connect those stakeholders. No, actually you need to talk to that team. They know all about it. If you don't manage to solve it, come to us, but be autonomous. And the deep why. Question everything. Really understand, what are we going to do? Why do we want to do this? Solutions are just how people talk about problems, about needs. And we need to get a deep understanding of what is it really that we need and why. Sometimes the real problem is very different, or there's no problem. It's just that we are working in a funny way that we should change. We should change how we communicate with each other. I don't know. It's hard for humans to identify the needs. We are wired to think, if I had that, then my problem would be solved. And I always think of an example that Oleg, a brilliant engineer from my Logic times, he was telling me, yeah, people come to me, I need a hammer. Why do you need a hammer? No, because I have a screwdriver that has a cross and I need it flat. So if you give me a hammer, I can hammer it and then make it a flat screwdriver. Why do you need a flat screwdriver? No, because I have this kind of paint and I'm trying to open it. And you can go deep here. Why do you need that kind of paint? But people will come to you, hey, the rock is broken. What rock? No, because I made a hammer with a rock on a string and it's not, okay, well, maybe the problem is that the room is the wrong color, you know? And that's how we work as humans. We need to accept that. So is it aligned with the business needs, what we want to solve? What value will it bring? What will happen if we don't do anything? How much do we need to build so that we get value, we get enough value, and what will be the cost to maintain this? So always go to the MVP. And finally, what I already said, simplify to grow. In order to grow and evolve, we need to try out many solutions, find out what works, but if we keep everything, we cannot grow. We are encumbered by everything. So we need to cut down, keep only what we need, and then, to me, the Tiqets platform is alive, and we breathe together. First we inspire, and we fill the lungs, and we get lots of ideas in, and build smart features. We keep only what is good, and we expire, let the air out, let all the nasty things out that we don't need, and then, again, fill your lungs, and inspire. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Yeah, you can do the questionnaire yourself as well. Stand up software engineering for today. Are there any questions? please.
3 people in the team seems like very little.
Yes.
How did you get to 3? Were there first more? Were there first less?
Repeat the question.
Yeah, so 3 people is you said it was small, right? Yeah, for him, 3 is small. How did we get all the way up to 3? Well, at the beginning, I was not in the company, so it could be 0. But at some point, it was 1, which is me, embedded within the content production team. And then I added machine translation, a lot of things. Then we grew to 2. And then we were embedded in finance, solving a lot of things in finance. And then we became 3. And then, okay, not only finance, but no, everything. So, yeah, that's how we went all the way to 3. Maybe we'll get to 4. It could happen. Any other question or answer, if anybody has an answer to my troubles? Yes?
You mentioned maybe we grow to 4.
Yeah.
But what do you think will happen if the team grow to 5 or 6 people? How will you then scale? Will you create more teams? Or how will you then solve the scaling problem?
Oh, yeah, indeed. So the question is, if the core team keeps growing, 5, 6, how do we manage that? I am very careful growing the team, because being small, as I said, if we are too big, why are we so big? Why? Is that the other teams are not autonomous and they need a strong team to support them? I don't think that's the way to go. That's not scalable. So I'm very careful with growing the team. There's certainly more things that we would do, so, you know, there's always margin for more, but being small forces us to involve the other teams. So I'm not in a hurry to grow this team. Yes? Oh, it depends. Some of them are 5, 6 engineers. Of course, the other teams also have designers. We don't have a designer. It's all the shell, you know. Yeah, it really depends, but I would say around 5 or 6 people, yeah. No more questions? Well, if there's more questions, come find me later. I'll be eating a Toblerone, apparently.
Well, thank you very much, Òscar. Here's a present for you.